This is Brian Thomas Simons, and these are the main headlines of this hour. Among other news.
In a lesser-known moment of Liberation Day, Trump announced 266 new executive orders. Among them, 1. Taxpayers who invest in President Trump's dollar Trump meme coin will receive a tax credit against federal income taxes and tariffs for the same amount of the invested amount. Senator Schumer, as part of his confusion strategy, backed a bill to extend the use of the dollar Trump cryptocurrency tax credit to state income taxes. 2. Secretary of State Marco Rubio was awarded 3 more medals as a consolation prize for being sent to the Maldives indefinitely on a classified mission. According to the executive order, Secretary Little Marco will stay in Maldives until called back to Washington. In his absence, DOJ's president advisor Elon Musk will decide over State Department firings, dumping of institutional assets, and issues related to international stuff. The decisions mentioned above will be considered valid as soon as Secretary Lil Marco's signature recorded on the computers is copied and pasted onto his department's official documents. 3. Unless Social Security beneficiaries oppose by a qualified majority by January 6, 2025 to the Social Security Trust Fund investing its funds in Trump's meme coins dollar Trump, the fund will proceed to replace in its balance its treasuries with the president's cryptocurrency. If so, the trust fund will become the second most important buyer of dollar Trump after the Federal Reserve's strategic reserve. B. White House aide Peter Navarro declared yesterday that tariffs will raise $6 trillion. Actually, it can be more. It can be any amount you want. You just have to believe. It could be $12 trillion. You like $12 trillion? What amount do you like more? Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt backed Navarro's declarations after saying that nothing less than the Psychiatric Institute of Washington has confirmed Navarro was not under the influence of forbidden substances. Reporter Cleve R. Wootson Jr., fired last week by Secretary Leavitt from The Washington Post and now a reporter with Washington Afro-American, after asking whether the Psychiatric Institute had something to say about Navarro's psychiatric condition, was also fired from the Washington Afro-American. C. Asked about whether she had any update on the worrying findings about Answer A, which moved the nation during the Biden administration. Education Secretary Linda McMahon declared that we have to get used to the idea that in a free market, questions may not have an only answer. If your children study in public schools and are not of Asian descent, it's okay to have many answers, she added. D. ICE will implement in the Gulf of America Italian technology to prevent illegal immigration after successful implementation in the Mediterranean waters by Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni. Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem declared her satisfaction with this collaboration between our two nations to jointly get even with that merciless enemy that has offended our sensibility and Christian values, declared Secretary Noem. In a thick voice, former Vice President Kamala Harris declared her candidacy for president at the head of the Harris-Biden ticket. Though unsure of whether the statement was a decision by the DNC or the effect of the free merchandise to which Harris is allowed as a spokeswoman of Total Wine & More, DNC President Ken Martin said that it was too early to make such announcements and that, for now, we must focus on what is important. To tell the American people that Elon Musk is not cool. A new White House leak has moved Washington. Mike Huckabee, nominated by the Trump administration to be the next ambassador to Israel, might be the first to be eliminated from The Apprentice, White House edition. For a moment we were afraid that the first to go would be Secretary Hegseth, after the incident with Signal group chat. Or Lil Marco, because they always send him to missions without purpose, but it seems it's going to be Huckabee. I guess the president will keep us on our heels for another week or so before making the announcement, declared Press Secretary Leavitt. As journalists approached him to ask him questions about the measles outbreak, HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. declared that the government would be on top of the issue as soon as it rehired all the workers his department fired last week. In the meanwhile, we must adopt a positive attitude, drink chamomile infusion, and make sure to go to bed before 11 p.m. Asked about vaccines, Secretary Kennedy was adamant, No, they are not necessary. James Ricks Jr., a Florida man, was released from custody as soon as it was confirmed that the reason for his intoxication was the use of alcoholic beverages authorized by the Department of Health and Human Services' new health guidelines. According to the same sheriff who pulled Ricks over for going almost 90 miles per hour in a 45 miles per hour zone, we could get in contact with HHS and confirm that the ingest of alcoholic beverages have been approved for patients who have a deeply held belief they have measles even when driving a motor vehicle. At first, I had my doubts, but as a spokesperson from HHS itself returned our call with the new guideline, we had to let Ricks go.
This has been the news of this hour. Sponsored by Church of the Holy Redeemer's Power in the Spirit. Have you accepted Jesus Christ as your personal Savior? Did you vote for Trump in 2016 and then in 2020? This is the right church for you. If so, Church of the Holy Redeemer's Power in the Spirit is the only Christian church that can promise you in the Lord to have 72 virgins in heaven for only a donation of $50 a month. You will have access to those 72 virgins in heaven. For an additional $25, you will be allowed to replace 10 of them, and for $100, Heaven Premium, you will be allowed to choose them for yourself. Guaranteed, if you're not satisfied with those 72 virgins after you die, full refund of your money. We accept Visa, MasterCard, American Express, and Discover.